So hello and welcome back to Go Again Gaming, and welcome back to the Azalea Cult here in the dirty, grimy pits below Metrics. And yeah, welcome back. And hello, Jim. How's it going?
What's up, Az? It's going fantastic. Really happy to be back here in the pits.
Yeah, absolutely. Praise be our glorious leader. And what we're going to do today is we're going to crack a beer in honour of Azalea as well. So yeah, we're going to do that right now. Hopefully we can get the sound, the wonderful sound.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
We got that. So yeah, I'm just gonna drink mine straight from the can because I'm an imbecile.
I'm gonna drink mine from a glass because I am not.
Excellent. So yeah, I'm drinking a Asahi. Discord probably would have seen a little bit of this floating around recently. Twitter as well, I think. Instagram. But yeah, one of my favourite Japanese beers. Absolutely love Japanese beers. Asahi, Sapporo, Kirin. All of those lovely sort of dry, refreshing lagers. And been taking the mick out of a little bit because that's all I drink. So maybe when I go to the US next year, maybe someone like yourself can educate me on the best ones to drink. I know Tommy from Fresh and Buds is going to give me one of his breweries that he deals
You'll have
with.
no shortage of advice from the Fab community on US lagers for you.
US, yeah, lagers, IPAs, whatever. But what are you drinking?
Yeah, so I have a few local breweries near me here, and this is one of them. That's the Dynasty Brewing Company, and this is their Mosaic Vision. It is also a hazy IPA, so that's a big category right now. A lot of hazies.
Hence why they got the glasses on. They can't see what's going on. Hazy.
Yeah, exactly. That's Mr. Washington there too, of course. So
nice. And shout out to Joey as well for the intro. We thought we'd steal your intro and drink some drinks.
That's right. Love you, man.
Yeah, love you too, mate. He's a great guy. Yeah, just thought we'd set the scene by having some drinks in in Blackjack's Tavern or wherever we might be, wherever you want to envision us. Yeah, so the main topic of today, before we go into all the sort of community stuff surrounding that, is arrow attacks in the Azalea deck. So we're not going to go into obviously elemental ranger arrows or anything like that because obviously that's all Lexi. So this is just literally the generic ranger arrows that can be used by Azalea. Of course they can be used by Lexi as well, but we're not going to go into how she wants to use them or can use them. Before we go into that, please make sure you like this video, subscribe to the Go Again Gaming channel, and join the Discord. Of course, all that's in the link in the description box below. That is the generic Go Again Gaming Discord, but there is a hub, like a subcategory in there, where all the Azalea people, mains and all that sort of stuff hang out and chat about Azalea with no judgment or anything. So go and join there when you can. And obviously on this show, of course, we deep dive into different aspects of Azalea, explore all the sort of intricacies about what makes her tick, all of her cards, all of her synergies, and what we potentially love to see from her in the future, and delve into what the community want to see, and designs and stuff as well, which we'll come to in a bit. But yes, this is all about arrow attacks. So obviously we touched on this a little bit. Arrow attacks are the attacks that Ranger have to play from their arsenal. So obviously on the last episode, you can go and check it out. Bows and other things typically put these arrows into your arsenal because you can only fire them from there. You can't sort of play them from hand, unfortunately, which is a big drawback for Ranger in general.
Yeah, and generally why we tend to have about half of our deck be arrows or
yeah. Yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult getting around that sometimes, but yeah, we're going to explore all of those now, and go through them all. So first of all, we're going to go through all of the zero cost arrow cards. Now there might be a link in the description box below where you can actually just click on this link and it takes you to all of the zero cost arrow cards, so you can follow along if you are watching. This is from fabdb.net, fantastic site for all of your deck building and searching requirements. And yeah, so zero cost arrows. The first one that comes up is one that was listed at super rare. This was in Arcane Rising, this one, by the looks of it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Endless Arrow. Endless Arrow. So I'll float these up as well. as you can see as you're following along. So this is a good rate card. You look at it and think, oh, this is pretty good. It's a 0 for 4 and it blocks for 3. So you got good stats all round there. Pitches for 1. It's got that magical number on it where you got 3 block, 4 attack, and 1 pitch. So it makes up 8. I think it was Arsenal Pass or some other podcast that say if those numbers add up to 8, as well as all of the other value that you're accruing from the card, that's a good card to use. If you're blocking for 3, attacks for 4, and pitches for 1, that's 8. That's 8 in total on the card. So the rate of that card is pretty good. I think it was Arsenal Pass that I heard it from once upon a time.
Cool. Sounds familiar, actually, so I think you're right.
Yeah, so as long as it adds up to 8, you're doing pretty well. But yeah, this is pretty good. Obviously, it's super rare. We don't have those anymore, unfortunately. Is that unfortunate? Bit of a side topic. Do you care much about super rares and majestics? Because I know you've been in it longer than me. Does it make a difference or not really?
Oh, just both from a player and as a singles retailer, I don't miss them.
No.
I think, it's just too many categories to keep up with, and a lot of them were as good as a majestic or as bad as a rare. So like it's probably pretty easy for them to take that category out.
Nice, cool. Because that no longer exists anymore. So this was a super rare. So the effect on this is quite good. So if it hits, it goes back into your hand. So I think that's pretty good, because if it's the only thing that you can do on your turn, for whatever reason, you could still attack with it. They then have to think, oh right, do I have to block, or they're just going to have a bit of card advantage, because it does create card advantage, because you then put that card into your arsenal and then draw 4, rather than putting this in your arsenal and then not drawing. If that makes sense.
For sure. And then there's certainly some plays go wide. If you can get it go again, then you can really kind of go burr with the errors, as they say.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, like 3 of a kind, and giving all your stuff go again. And try shot. I'm sure we'll go into this in the future when we'll talk about how wide she wants to go and how you can do that. Because I don't know, actually, I haven't really played wide Azalea, but there are definitely things that you can do if you give this go again, goes back to your hand, and then if all of your arrows have go again for the turn, if you can just keep bringing this back, you can keep firing it off and coming back to your hand, doing it again, etc.
Yeah, I suppose we'll go over pumps and buffs here in another episode.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. The stuff that goes wide and the stuff that goes tall will obviously come later. But yeah, nice little valuable card. It's always good. Always gives them a decision as to whether they want to block it, because it gives you a bit of value, because it's always going to be there. So that's what I think. That's what I think Ranger and Azalea needs to do more, is just force those blocking decisions more, because we don't have enough, do we, at the moment, to really be competitive, unfortunately. There are some horrible ones, which we'll get to in a bit. But yeah, we need more of that, please. Forcing blocks for those aggro players that just want to dump their hand all the time. They don't care. Right. They're not blocking at all, are they? They don't care what the on-hit effect is, but they need to care what the on-hit effect is.
For sure.
Going forward. So yeah, Endless Arrow, pretty good. Nice bit of value. Next we have a common cycle. So this is Ridge Rider Shot. So obviously it comes in red, yellow and blue pitches. And it's a 0 cost arrow as well. So you can fire it off for nothing. And this says if it's put into your arsenal face up, you get to opt 1. And obviously it attacks for 4, 3 or 2 depending on the pitch value. So yeah, opting is crucial in Azalea, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. I actually personally, and I'd be interested to hear your take on this, think this one is really good in commoner, because you don't have the headpiece, or you don't have other ways to opt.
Yep.
So the more ways to opt is better. I don't run this in constructed, just because there are other ways to opt, and I don't think it's as strong of a card as some of the other 0 costs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, if you think of classic constructed or blitz or what have you, the Skullbone Crossrap.
I meant CC, not limited. Sorry.
That's right. Yeah, I knew what you meant there. But yeah, Skullbone Crossrap basically just turns any card into your arsenal into an opt. So you've got more ways of doing that, and again, we'll go into it. Yeah, exactly. So we'll go into it more again when we talk about digging for those cards, or the cards that allow you to opt. and the best ways to do that in a future one. But yeah, I think you're right. In Commoner, this is great because it gives you loads of opting options, and it's an attack, so it obviously blocks for 3 as well, which is good in Ranger. And you got obviously it's a good card for just using it if you need to pitch. It's great if you need to attack, and obviously it opts 1 as well, which will then allow you potentially to dominate off of the top with Azalea's ability. So yeah, pretty good. But as you say, I don't run it either in Constructed. I'd rather use other things which either sort of force on hits of better arrows, basically. Yeah. Next we have another common cycle in Searing Shot. So this is just a nice little raw damage dealer, especially in the red iteration, which is quite cool.
Yeah, for sure.
So again, 0 cost.
The red actually threatens. It gives incentive for them to block with more than 1 card, because if you just do the 3 block, still 2 damage is coming at you, so you have to think about that a little more.
Yeah.
I only like the red one because of that, because if the other 2, if you block with 1 card, you're not getting any damage. So
yeah, exactly. So Searing Shot red, I've definitely used it in the past because the rate on it again is very good. If you think about it, 3, 4, basically 5, you got 8 straight away there. You know, because it's basically a 5 for nothing. As well. And if you think of Dreadbore as well, it becomes a 6 for 1 for 6, which is quite a good rate. Because Dreadbore buffs it and stuff, which is quite nice. But yeah, just a nice little card. Don't really use the yellow or blue ones. You might do in Commoner, but I'm definitely familiar with
to fill out the deck. Yeah, for sure.
Just to fill it out, yeah, because you need all the arrows you can get in those formats, and we'll speak about that in a bit because we've got some tales for Commoner anyway. Next cycle is Pathing Helix. I think this is seen more in Lexi, I believe. Yuki Lee Bender uses this in Lexi, I think.
It's a wide card.
Yeah, it's a wide card.
Yeah, for sure. More in Lexi.
Yeah. So yeah, again, it's a common cycle. Came in, I think it was it Crew, this one? Yeah. But so yeah, again, 0 cost arrow, attacks for 2, 3, or 4, defense for 3. But if it hits and you have no cards in your arsenal, you may put a card from your hand face down into your arsenal. So again, if you're going wide and all of your arrows somehow have go again, or you've given this go again through Voltaire, or Shiver doesn't give go again, it gives dominate and +1, doesn't it? Voltaire is the thing that gives thingy, yeah. So yeah, definitely more a Lexi card. So if you think about what you're going to do with Azalea with this, you know, you don't want to put a card face down into your arsenal on hit effect, really. There's not much,
unless you're trying to opt or do, I don't know. Yeah, it's not a lot of use cases that I can think of.
Yeah, especially for the builds that I've experienced, it's go tall. So the only arrow you want to be firing is your deadly one. If you think of buffing this up, you're then putting a card face down into your arsenal. You can't follow up on that if you're going tall.
Without a go again, and way to make it go again rather.
So, but yeah, definitely uses for it in go wide. And it's the same for the next one. The next one is very good for go wide, and that's Bolt and Shot, which is a rare cycle from the Everfest.
Yes.
I
actually really like Bolt Shot. So I treat it almost as a free go again.
Yeah.
You're generally going to have enough pumps and or run the bullseye bracers that you could at least once kind of have a wide turn in Azalea. So I run this one in my CC.
Yeah, I'm messing around with it as well, actually, because I like to play Dreadbore, and Dreadbore just turns this on all the time. Because it puts the +1 on it straight away, which then immediately gives it, you know, Bolt and Shot red then comes in for 5 go again if it hits reload, then you just fire something else off.
That's fantastic, yeah.
And even the yellow one with Dreadbore is still reading 0 for 4 go again if it hits reload. That's still pretty good.
Absolutely.
So
I'm assuming you run 6 of in that with Dreadbore, huh?
Yeah, he would, yeah.
3 each, yeah.
I think so, yeah. Blues, I don't really know, because I don't think you're going to get that on hit through enough. But yeah, reds and yellows. I said Yeds and Rellos.
Yeds and Rellos.
Yeds and Rellos. Yeah, definitely very, very good. I think, I don't know, but I think Lexi will probably use those as well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So yeah, going very wide with those. So that is the only 0 cost Ranger attack arrows we have at the moment.
Hopefully we get more 0 in Dynasty. We'll see.
Yeah,
we're bound to get an arrow at least. So.
Yeah, we got to get some, haven't we?
Because I'm just looking at the 1 cost now, and it definitely is imbalanced. Not that it needs to be, but
yeah.
0 cost is nice.
Yeah, exactly. And if you think about this as well, Kel said it on the last episode as well, is that the range attacks basically means that all of these 0 cost cards actually do cost 1 because you have to load them in there with the arrow, well, with the bow at least. There are other ways. There are other ways of loading cards into your arsenal, which are probably better if you can get away with it. Obviously, we'll discuss those at a later stage. Yeah, I mean, I find in my build, I hardly ever load I hardly ever get an arrow into my arsenal through the use of a bow. That's the weird thing.
Okay, you're taking advantage of reload more often then, I guess, or
yeah, which is why I use Dreadbore, because I know that if I need to get it in there, I can try and get it in there with a +1, and it's obviously forces their hand composition around because they have to only use defense reactions from arsenal. So
sure. And then as we talked about last week with Death Dealer, there is the cost 1, but you draw a card, and so it's offset a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, lots of options you can do. So that's all the 0 cost ones, and now we're going to go on to the 1 cost ones again. We'll flash up these images as we speak about them. So the first one that comes up is probably the favourite one, and the one we always want to hit people with, and that's Red in the Ledger.
Absolutely.
So we love this, don't we?
Yeah, this is one of those that you will attempt to cycle through the deck over and over again with Memorial Ground, etc.
Yeah, the card is that good; it makes you want to play this hero. Basically, it's ridiculous.
That was the art on it, by the way. That's just Azalea in her element right there.
Oh, it really is. Yeah, it's pure dominating this bloke. You know, he's been shot. He's just holding on to his hair.
Yeah, pulling his hair. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So if he hadn't had enough, there's more.
Yeah, pure torture in a piece of art there, isn't there? It's just fantastic.
Yep.
And that's what we want to. That's what we want to get across as Azalea players. I think is the raw torture. I mean, if you can survive what I'm doing to you, then fair play. But you know, we're going to punish you if we get into that cycle. You know, it's ultimate control, especially
All
over
about the on hit. Yeah.
Yeah, especially over aggro players. It's crushing getting hit by this. We haven't even read the card out yet. So this is an Azalea specialization. So only Azalea can use this, and hence why we play her most of the time for this card. Praise be Azalea. Yeah, so blocks for 3, attacks for 5, and it costs 1 to play. And it's Azalea specialization, and it just says if it hits a hero, they can't play or activate more than 1 action during their next turn. So it's just absolutely vile. Probably the best on a hit effect in the entire game,
especially in the current like aggro meta. Like, this is what you want to be running. Yeah,
exactly. I just wish there were more things like this, but that would probably be too ridiculous. I mean, there's a few other things that tax your opponents.
Yeah, we'll get to Remorseless later, but there's not a lot.
There's not a lot right now, and I think also one of the reasons Azalea has suffered recently is because a lot of those effects have gone to the ice talent.
Yes, yeah.
So
they have to be unique, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they explore Azalea's theme and flavour now that ice is known to be taxing, because a lot of these cards are taxing, but not great. Apart from Red in the Ledger is ridiculous, obviously.
Right. Agreed.
Yeah. So as you say, yeah, brilliant against aggro because they want to dump their entire hand. If you think of a Phi only being able to play 1 0 cost card on their turn, that's just crushing for them. They're doing no damage to you basically. So that's why I thought, especially spoiler alert, taking Azalea to Lille, that she might find some really, really good matchups here and there, because you know if you hit them with this and establish that control, it is very punishing. And I haven't had any bad Phi matchups. They've always been very close. Which is good, and this is the one.
5 versus Azalea is almost certainly favored Azalea, I'd think so.
Yeah, exactly. It's just if you can get that consistency, which is the issue, unfortunately. But yeah, amazing card. We all know it's fantastic, and that's one of the reasons why a lot of us play her for that very card itself. The next 1 cost card on the cycle here is Headshot, and obviously this is just a common cycle.
Another comment real quick on Red in the Ledger. I wish all specialization cards were like that. It's like defining, like you're saying, Azalea.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that about the specialization card. So I kind of wish other heroes had the same grandiose, effect on the hero.
Yeah, exactly.
Attachment to the hero.
Yeah, if you think of the other specializations in Arcane Rising, Viscerize one is a dominated thing that when it hits, they get a load of rune chant tokens. So again, that's quite thematic and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know what you mean. This is an archetype on a specialization. So it's just a shame we haven't had too much more support for that sort of tax archetype outside of this, because obviously Ice has got it all at the moment.
Yeah.
Which makes Lexi another obvious choice to be the control disrupt strategy, because there's all that ice tax. There's also all the ice fusions that when they hit they discard cards. So a lot of people go to Lexi for that reason instead, rather than look at Azalea, because she only has this one horrendous card that can shut down an opponent. But you've only got 3 of them, and in order to get them back, you have to keep using the Memorial Grounds. We'll flash it up now. Obviously, Memorial Ground is a card that we'll go into in more detail in a future episode when we talk about this like sift and card selection and all that sort of thing. But this allows you to put Red in the Ledger back on top, so you can basically get 9 uses out of Red in the Ledger through this option, which is what ideally we want to be doing with this most of the time.
Yep.
But yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to stay on that one for longer. Moving over.
Yeah, that's right. We can speak about that all day. That card, fantastic. Loads of experiences there. Headshot is the next one. Common cycle. So attacks for 4, 3, or 2, depending on the pitch value, and obviously it costs 1 and blocks for 3. So it's a good rates all round. But if it's put into your arsenal face up, obviously bows will do this. They'll put cards into your arsenal face up, or bullseye bracers will put things into their face up. Then it gets +2 at the end of turn, so it just becomes a bit of a raw damage card.
Yeah, I actually really like using this one with Knock the Death Whistle. It's I have found a couple situations where it's good late game to kind of surprise an opponent by pulling that out instead of they're expecting you to pull out Red the Ledger or Remorseless and then dominate them with a minimum 7 damage or 6 damage rather. Sorry.
Yeah. And I was speaking to Patrick Shaw of the Combat Chain podcast. I'll shout him out because we were having some games maybe a month or 2 ago. It was me. I was playing Azalea. He was playing Briar, and he said, "Red in the Ledger is absolutely terrifying, and that's normally what I want to be shooting off early." But he said, "What about if you try and whittle them down first by using the headshots, the searing shots? Try and get their life down first before you start hitting them with the horrible on-hit effects." Because maybe if you can establish that control late game, it might be a bit better. So I don't know.
You're gonna have to block with more cards, basically.
Yeah. So there's an argument to be made, and a discussion to be had about when you should be playing these and what order you should do it. Because if you pitch your Red in the Ledgers early to play other things, you're whittling their life down, and then you'll be drawing late game. If you're thinking about the second cycle, which would you? In Azalea, probably not, because you're going to die. But I mean, it's a difficult one because I always want to hit hard with Red in the Ledger and establish that control straight away. So yeah, it was an interesting discussion I had with him. Thought I'd shout him out because he said, try and do it the other way around. Try and get the raw damage first and then the control afterwards. But we'll see. Obviously, Azalea hasn't been figured out yet. Otherwise, she'd have a living legend point. Next is a card I think is pretty decent actually, and that's Hamstring Shot. I like where the design space is trying to go with this, until Ice took over. So again, this is a common cycle. Costs 1 to play, and it attacks for 5, 4, or 3, and it blocks for 3 as well. And it says if this hits a hero, their first attack during their next turn costs an additional 1 to play.
Yeah, it's a poor man's or an Azalea. I'll say that.
Azalea,
Frostbite.
An Azalea's Frostbite, because it only affects attacks as well, not non-attacks.
Right, and only the first.
And only the first one. So maybe more stuff like this, but just better. Like if this hits a hero, their first attack, the next turn costs an additional 3. That's basically it could probably read that and still she wouldn't be competitive. But I want to see more stuff like this, stuff that when we get into the design an arrow competition. I'm going to go over what my sort of thoughts on what things should be like in the future. Hamstring Shot.
I'm curious to see what people come up with, because I'm not convinced after especially our last episode and contest that she needs arrows that are really good. I think we are going to have to get another weapon or quiver or bow or another mechanic basically to get more consistency.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's the consistency issue most of the time. Cool. Next cycle is Salvage Shot. So there's a lot of cycles in this one drop thing. Salvage Shot again costs 1, blocks for 3, attacks for 5, 4, or 3 depending on the value. And if this hits, it goes on the bottom of your deck. So I guess this just kind of in a way prevents you from just not having any arrows at the sort of second cycle when you get to the bottom of your deck again. So I can see where they were going with that, because obviously Ranger doesn't have a weapon to attack with like everybody else does. So when you're getting to that stage, you can't just swing a weapon, you have to fire an arrow. So I can see where the design space was going with that, but I just have never really benefited from the effect of it, unfortunately.
You know, you're never, as you just said, you're not cycling through your whole deck a lot. So getting back to it isn't why you run it.
No.
It's decent with the 5 damage, but you've also got, other options that do 5, hamstring and others that we'll get to, sleep and whatnot.
Yeah.
I don't run it.
No, I don't use it either. Cool. Next is I think it's the only arrow it's the only arrow that has go again on it, apart from the claws of Bolt and Shot that we said earlier.
The natural on card go again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
This is Sikkim Shot. So again, 1 cost, blocks for 3, attacks for 4, 3, or 2, depending on the pitch value. And this is just a go again attack for Ranger. But if you look at the rate, unfortunately, of Ranger, this is why it's hard to go wide unless you've got Lexi's tools, is because you have to put it in there in the first place, and that costs you 1 at least.
Yeah.
So it's a 2 cost 4 attack with go again, which is just crap in comparison to what other heroes have, isn't it?
I agree.
So it's a shame, but yeah, go again attacks aren't really, in my opinion, the way to go with Azalea. I could be completely wrong. I haven't won anything. I have no accolades, but that's just...
I do run this again because I run Death Dealer, so I have the additional card draw to offset some of that. But yeah, I don't say that I try to ever go wide. At most, it's 2 attacks.
2 arrows. Yeah.
2 arrows that's about as far as the wide goes. So I mean, I guess it is wide for Azalea. Anything more than 1 arrow. But yeah. I do play with this one, and I think I've cycled it in and out, but I kind of like it for the occasional 2 arrow turn.
Mm-hmm. And do you find yourself ever loading this in with with your bow, or is it reloaded in with something else most of the time?
Normally with my build as running Death Dealer, it is
loaded in
bow most often.
Yeah. So then you'll have 2. Then you'll have
an additional
1
card
float
in.
1 float in. Yeah. Still okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
And a float. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's what Death Dealer does open up sometimes, those sort of 2 arrow attack turns, because of what it does. I guess. Right. Yeah. I guess I can see why you want it. It's just the red one, is it, that you use most of the time?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Cool, yeah, that's the only go again one. Maybe we'll have more in Dynasty, who knows. The next card is another one we really, really like, and it's a unique one as well, so you can only have 1 of these. It's only 1 of them, so you can only have 3 of these in your deck, and that's Remorseless. So yeah, great rate on this again. Cost 1, blocks for 3, attacks for 5, so good rates all round there. And it says, if Remorseless is put into your arsenal face up, until end of turn it gains defense reactions cannot be played from arsenal to its chain link. So that's great if you combo that with either Dreadball, which says you can't play him from hand, or Released Attention.
Just turn off defense reactions completely.
Yeah, just turn off defense reactions completely, which is always good. And I think that's another design space that Ranger needs to explore, is just getting round defenses more often. And this is great because if it hits their next until the end of their next turn, the opponent, whenever they play an action card, they lose a life. So it taxes people that want to go wide. So again, another great tool.
That's another fi killer here.
It is.
As wide as those chains go, those are pretty much all cards. So they're all going to get attacks to life.
Exactly. Yeah. So this,
especially those Phoenix Flames that only do one. Now you're just trading one for one.
Yeah, exactly. Think about it that way, then yeah, it's definitely traded off there. So yeah, it's a pretty good card. Absolutely love it. Definitely a 3 of run in any constructed or blitz 2 of. So yeah, definitely good. Next cycle is Sleep Dart. This is decent. So blocks for 3, attacks for 5, 4, or 3, depending on the pitch value. And if it hits any heroes, they lose all hero card effects and activate abilities until the end of their next turn. So again, another way of potentially shutting off, or it's just a nice toolbox card as well. Because depending on what hero you're facing, you can go and search for this and dominate it, and then turn off their hero effect, which is quite nice.
Yeah, I do like it, and I tend to either run that or Fatigue Shot. I don't think I usually run both, so I guess it just depends on the hero. And we'll talk about Fatigue Shot next.
Yeah, exactly. So going on to that one, then again, it's the same thing. Attacks for 5, 4, or 3, depending on the pitch value. Costs 1, blocks 3. But if it hits the base power of the first attack action card they play during their next turn is halved, rounded up.
This is your Guardian, versus your big hits, your brute. I always put in Fatigue Shot for those, just to try to tamper down that massive, hit.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, is it the red? Is it mainly the red ones you use as well? Is it, or do you use anything else?
I'm sorry, hit my mic. It's mostly red. Period. Like, it depends on the other arrows I'm running. If I start running yellow, I almost never run blue that I can think of.
No, I don't either.
And actually, as we get to the 2-cost arrow, that's the only time where you have to start really consciously putting in some of those higher cost arrows. But otherwise, it's mostly red.
Mostly red, yeah, exactly. Cool. And then the last one is another sort of unique one, which came in Everfest. Both of these last ones come in Everfest, so they do sort of very unique things. And this is Tumidity Point. So again, same rate, exactly the same rate as one before: 1, 3, and 5, 4, or 3, depending on the value. And then it says when it hits, attacks they control lose and can't gain dominate during the next turn. So yeah, that's pretty good against obviously like Bravo, people that just want to any hero that has dominate on a stick. You might want to run this against them, even like Azalea Mirror Match.
There's the Fatigue Shot, basically. Yeah, or Azalea Mirror Match.
Yeah, just turn off their dominate. So yeah, interesting card, but obviously doesn't see enough or a lot of play because of the fact it's just very, very dependent on what the other hero is, the matchup.
Very situational. Actually, I don't even think I have it in a sideboard right now, just because it was too specific.
No, yeah, exactly. That's the thing, isn't it? Azalea wants to be very specific. She's got a lot of tools to deal with different things, but that's probably being the jack of all trades.
We only have so many, yeah.
Yeah. Jack of all trades, master of none, unfortunately. So yeah, that's all the 1-cost arrows. And then we've got the last arrow on the list is the only current 2-cost arrow in the entire game, and that was released again with Everfest, and that's Battering Bolt. So this is a 2-cost arrow, the only one, blocks for 3 and attacks for 6. So also the only arrow to have 6 attack.
Right.
So this is the only tool that we can use against Prism or Illusionist in general, unless we run 6 power attacks. In other forms, so
non-arrows,
non-arrows, so did you think we need more? Like, do you think arrows in general just need to be higher attack in order to be more competitive? If Red in the Ledger said 6, for instance, would that be better? Well, it would obviously be better. But...
Yeah, I still don't. But I still don't think that would be enough. I still think we have to deal with those turns that we just don't. We're dead in the water, and we can't do anything. Yeah. Until we get that consistency issue figured out, I don't think any 6 damage or even stronger arrows are going to help with her situation.
Yeah. It's like I think Kel said on the last episode, you could increase all of the power of all of the arrows by 1, and it still wouldn't be enough. Probably.
Yeah, I agree.
I think the answer is coming in a pieces of equipment that allows us to be more consistent with things. I think that's probably the only.
Yeah, I think unfortunately we're gonna have to wait till we go to Meatrix in the Pits as the featured area of a set before we get anything like that. But that's what we need. I'd be a little surprised if we get it in a supplemental set.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's just going to be a little bit more of everything like we saw in Everfest. Although saying that, in Everfest we did get some equipments, didn't we, that were missing for, like, Brute didn't have a pair of gloves, for instance, and then he got Skull Crushers. Ranger doesn't have a chest piece. Maybe we might get one. Maybe.
That's true. That's true. Oh, maybe it's not out of the question. Just, I don't know. I still hold the conspiracy theory too that they're not going to buff Azalea too much, because then the entire playing field is going to be playing Azalea.
Yeah, imagine that. Yeah, because that's the thing. That's the thing they have to balance with as well. There's such a cult following.
Yeah.
For Azalea that when she gets those tools, she is going to be abused, I think.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, definitely. Cool, so that's all the arrows. And there's a few little questions I wrote down here. So, first of all, what's your favourite arrow and why? So, obviously, this is a question for obviously both of us that I just thought would be fun. So, what's your favourite arrow, Jim?
I mean, how could we not say Red in the Ledger? So
tick that box. Yep.
Yeah, aside from Red in the Ledger, I mean, I hate to be cliche, really, but it's got to be Remorseless. So
yeah,
those cards are just so necessary in many situations. Those are my favorite, always running cards for sure. Yeah. I think even art-wise, actually.
Yeah,
those are still my two favorite art-wise. So
that's right.
All around, those are the defining arrows of Azalea. So I don't think there's much of a choice.
Yeah, exactly. But both the seals of approvals will be on Red in the Ledgers and Remorseless. I mean, they're from both of us. They are the arrows. You know, the reason you play Azalea is for these arrows, especially Red in the Ledger. And you know, in both of those artworks as well, she is literally dominating another human being in some shape or form. Remorseless, there's someone pinned to the wall. I can float up the art if I can find it. And obviously in Red in the Ledger, obviously she's dominating this guy who's been shot already. So yeah, absolutely love it. Art, theme, flavour, and mechanics all in one. What's your most underrated arrow? What do you think the most underrated arrow is?
I'd probably maybe go back to Headshot again. I think that one probably doesn't get as much attention as it should, just because it's strong.
Yeah.
A casual 6 dominate, I think, is underrated from a common card.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's nice commoner pick. For me, I think most underrated for me is we've actually got a community tale about this as well, and that's Fatigue Shot. I think Fatigue Shot is very underrated, especially against those horrible, massive attacks you don't want to be getting hit with, like crippling crushes and stuff that gets pummeled and all that sort of thing. You know, halving someone's attack is a very unique mechanic as well. So I like those unique takes on cards, and the Everfest ones did very well with that. So that and
that's a great point.
Yeah, so want to see more of that in the future. So yeah, we're going to go on to like the socials now, and all like the community engagement and people playing and talking about Azalea. So the first one I thought I'd bring up here is a funny.
I laughed out loud too when I saw it. Like this was good.
Oh, it's brilliant! It's just a funny Twitter account that's popped up recently. And it just says, the actual tag is ban Azalea. So it's well thought out, actually, because obviously the banner art is Azalea on the Seek and Destroy art, and obviously we've got a young Blitz hero Azalea as the profile picture, which is just fantastic. So ban Azalea.
They just have foresight far into the future, right? So
absolutely.
This is after we've got our items that make her S tier, and then then he's ready. He's ready to
exactly.
push the ban.
Yeah, exactly. Joined in June 2022 as well, so that's basically when the Azalea Cult sort of started and was still
hot off the press,
circulating. So yeah, ban Azalea account. Watch out for them. They're going to get loads of followers when Azalea gets banned. The funny thing about this as well is that they're only following me, you, James White, and Flesh and Blood.
Flesh and Blood official account. Yeah.
This is funny, fantastic, and obviously we're following them as well. Obviously.
Got to keep up with that for sure.
Yeah, fantastic. So yeah, show ban Azalea some love on Twitter if you are watching this. Funny stuff. Next, moving on to Goblin Reserve. Both Hank and Wifey playing a lot of Azalea at the moment, so fair play to both of them.
In the Commoner League, I believe, right?
That's right, yeah. Smithall Gaming's Commoner League, I believe. So the Twitter post was, congrats Wifey, bringing #Azalea Cult a big win, honing our flesh and blood skills, playing Sealed and Commoner. If you think this game is too expensive, you aren't playing these formats. So fun, rewarding, and cheap. So a nice little shout out to the Commoner formats, being able to just play any heroes you like to a sort of toned down level, and a level to which Azalea can be pretty good as well, by the sounds of it.
A little more equal, a little more.
Yeah, a little bit more. Yeah. This was a retweet from Goblin Reserve, and Amy is known as Wifey on that channel, where she says, when you're in an awesome Commoner League at Smithall Gaming, but forget that over the weekend you destroyed your office in a remodel, so you throw together a setup on the kitchen table. Let's see if Azalea can beat my Lexi opponent. Obviously she tagged in Azalea Cult as well, and I responded to that saying, praise be our glorious leader, the Azalea Cult never sleeps. You don't need sleep to pilot Azalea.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a nice little.
The Goblin Reserve crew have been very faithful to Azalea, so they are welcome,
they have.
Members of the cult.
Exactly. So yeah, it's good stuff. And I'm actually going to send them as well, because they've engaged in these videos quite a lot. I'm going to send them some membership cards, which I'll show everybody at the end of this video as well. I've got those made recently,
awesome.
New ones. And again, Hank as well from that channel as well, posting a tale here as well. First 2 weeks of Smithall Gaming. It's the same Commoner League, repping lots of Azalea in this league by the looks of it. He started off and first 2 weeks was 0-4, so he'd lost all 4 of his games up to this point. This week, however, let's effing go. Azalea Cult was used, playing Azalea for the first time in Commoner, and picks up the first 2 wins. Azalea mirror match. What's going on here? Loads of Azalea love going on.
There you go.
So technically, Azalea won all 3 matches. Wow, that's fantastic. That's good to see that people are picking up this hero, man.
Makes us feel good.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for using the Azalea Cult hashtags as well, so we can see these and pick them out for this episodes. So the next tale comes from a top 8 skirmish finish and a Flesh and Blood website feature for an Azalea Cult member. And this is DoggoDog in the Discord. So I think his name's Logan. I think it says it on the thing at the bottom there, which we'll go into. But obviously, all of these comments will be flashed up on screen on notice board. I'll give his tournament report of the Blitz skirmish. So he played Azalea, of course. We had 16 players in total, 4 rounds before the cut to the top 8, and he made the top 8 with his deck. And obviously we can get a list for that, and you can speak to DoggoDog himself if you join the Discord about how he did this. So round 1 was a win against Prism. How did you do that? Because, oh man, Prism is horrible to play against with Azalea. Round 1, he says, this was against my buddy who I know runs 6 pummels in his deck. Oh, so it's aggro Prism then, by the looks of it. Looking to get his heralds through. Yeah, absolutely. It's typically a tough matchup like most, but I hit 2 buffs consistently into a dominated arrow, and I cycled the aforementioned fatigue shot.
There you go.
There we go, yeah. So a few times and made his life miserable. Dreadball was clutch as I comboed it with Remorseless, and he never was able to get his soul shield that he arsenaled as well. Overall, not too bad. So there we go. A win against aggro Prism.
That's tough matchup.
That is a tough matchup. Fair play to DoggoDog for doing that, Logan.
Absolutely. Good on you.
Nice. Round 2 was against was a win against Valda, Sift Valda. Shout out to Pascal in Discord as well, who's actually been repping this at his armories recently, Valda Sift. So this game took a while and was super close. Early game I just went for damage, but had to full block a few turns. I managed to use Sleep Dart a couple of times so Valda couldn't give Dominate to his big attack. So yeah, very good idea there. Again, Sleep Dart just being clutch against some heroes, turning off that Dominate effect. And late game, once I reached a fatigue shot again, I just whittled him down with Dominate.
Both Sleep Shot and Fatigue Shot, so that's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it as well, it turns off the Dominate and halves the attacks of Guardian. So those 2 cards against Guardian.
Combo.
Nice. Whittled him down with Dominate and kept tempo. Lots of decision points, but ended up winning with 1 life, I believe. So very down to the wire. That's a good job. Then we've got 2 losses reported, but it still allowed him to get to top 8 apparently because of the seeding, I think it was. Round 3 he lost to Ira, so obviously Ira is just a menace. Game was super close, misplayed blocking wrong on an E-strike / erase face turn. Yeah. So that's a good thing about this game as well, is that you remember those mistakes and you think, oh, how can I do it better next time, which is good. Nice learning curve. Opponent kept his armor up for a while and was able to block my last push. Lost to Razor Reflex. Oh, classic. Because I had a hand of 2 blocks and Memorial Ground. Oh, that old chestnut. A hand of Memorial Grounds and 2 blocks.
That's the curse of Azalea, shows its head.
Yeah, absolutely, mate, yeah. Definitely winnable, as my opponent didn't expect Dreadball, so his flick flacks were useless. Good point. Remorseless did most of the damage because he just tried to play through the on hit. Also, this guy ended up winning 4-0 in Swiss, which helped my tiebreakers.
There you go.
There we are. But that's tough. Blitz is always a race, and Ira is probably one of the most consistent to do that, even with the new ninjas and stuff out. So fair play on that. And then a loss versus Icelander / hybrid. So an hybrid Icelander deck, by the sounds of it. I started off strong, trying to race him. I had a few turns where he had no ice cards and low blocks, so he got really low. I ran out of gas and had some bad draws, standard, which allowed him to get me low enough that he just activated Storm Striders and I had no hand and won. That's always a risk if they've stripped your hand away and you can play at instant speed. Yeah,
just saying you're gonna race Icelander just makes me shudder. I think Icelander has the upper hand there for sure.
Yeah, I think so. I took Nolrun Boots thinking he was full arcane and was mistaken, so I was punished not knowing he was playing hybrid with CNC, E-strike, erase face, and such.
Yeah, that's huge too. Because you gotta stack Nolrun Boots playing against Icelander. You have to.
Yeah.
To try to survive through some of the arcane to get enough damage out, but with that build, I can see that's just a double whammy, huh?
Yeah. God. I love that though. It's like when you go into a matchup fully expecting it's going to be raw arcane damage, and then suddenly they're throwing bloody erase face knee strike at you as a wizard. It's like, what's going on?
Yeah, no, for sure.
So
it's almost like being Azalea and playing more attack actions than arrows or something. It's like nobody's expecting that.
No, that's right, and that's what I'm experimenting with at the moment. Spoiler alert. I'm experimenting with a lot of Azalea pummel.
Actually, we also talked about Joey at the start of the cast because of the beers, but he has built a very action card heavy Azalea as well. This was a couple years ago or a year or so ago, so may have to bring that back out and see what he did there and then update it with some of the more modern arrows. Yeah,
maybe there'll be an episode where we get Joey on and we speak about a unconventional Azalea deck.
Actually, that would be amazing. So, Joey, we're coming for you.
Exactly. Watch out for that. Cool. And obviously that result, based on the stories there, obviously made it to the Flesh and Blood website as well. It says here, this leaves 6 heroes on our list and only one top 8 finish between them, but isn't the hero you might expect. Congratulations to the beloved underdog Azalea, who made top 8 with Logan Siniger, is Logdog in Discord in Canada. So well done to Logan Siniger.
Amazing. Any time that our supreme leader can make it on the official page, it's amazing.
Yeah, so well done to Logan again. Is another active member of the Azalea Cult as well. So thanks for sharing that story. That's fantastic. And then we had a 3rd place. I'm not sure what event this was, but they've obviously given us the lowdown on it anyway. They've also included a deck list in the Discord, so if you want to go check it out, you can do. And hashtag Azalea are present was used. Fantastic. So they just said they want to share a small bit of success with you guys. I ran a go wide Azalea deck for the first time at my LGS, and I managed to place 3rd and win 2 out of my 3 games, and took home a Rise from the Ashes playmat as well as a result of this.
That's nice.
Yeah, so Azalea taking home some trophies for some people as well. Yeah. This was actually the individual that made the Grey Anotox bow, which I thought was the winner of the last one, giving us this story. So he says, here's a full rundown on my games when at Armory. For my first game, I was up against Kasai. We all know how good Kasai is at the moment. I struggled a lot against her. I wanted to try and slow down the rate at which she was generating copper for the blood on her hands. But unfortunately, her ability to consistently attack twice per turn with the sabres got over the top of either the buffs or attack reactions, or when I block with attack actions. She generated them fairly quickly. I might have been able to slow her with slower roll with Ren the Ledger, wasn't able to push damage over the top of her equipment. Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
When you're facing against Warrior, they do have a lot of equipment on board they can just get rid of.
And defense reactions. So.
And reacts, yeah. And Valiant Dynamo as well is basically a constant equipment block, because with Kasai you're swinging twice every turn, so you remove the counter. So that's it's hard to push through that. It's hard to push through Shadow heroes as well because of the Carrion Husk. But obviously, maybe matchups and stuff come at a later date. I punished her for being reluctant to block and got her down 7 health before she played a fully powered Blood on Her Hands turn. So that's a good thing about Kasai is that
he approached it the right way. Like, you got to stop Kasai from creating coppers because as soon as they get them, game over.
That's it, exactly. Just pop off, don't they? So for my second game, I was playing against Fi, and I hit Fi pretty hard early on with a Rain Razored Remorseless. And at one point, I had 9 health lead on him, with me being at 17, him on 8. That's a big lead. He got back a bit of gas on his turns and hit me pretty hard, but during his turns, I let him hit me a little bit, but blocked out his Mask of Momentum triggers. So it's always worth doing that, definitely.
Yep.
I used Death Dealer during this game for the draw power, and simply because he doesn't run many defense reactions. So again, that's a good time to switch out for Death Dealer, because they're not going to run defense. They just want to pump their hand out. The game was very close. By the time he finished one of his turns, he was sitting at 2. I was at 1. I managed to close out the game with a 2-card hand, searching Knock Death Whistle, searching out a red Searing Shot, reloading my Ravenous Rabble, and uses Azalea's ability for a dominated arrow off of the top. And again, we spoke about this earlier. Searing Shot is a great rate card because it costs nothing to play. Right. And if you can force the dominate through, you're hitting for 5 because of the lose life effect. So that's another thing you can do as well. You can dominate. Again, Headshot is another good one, but obviously it costs 1 to play unless you've got a Tunic trigger. If you can get those dominates late game, they are very, very deadly to the opponent, especially in these sort of situations. Searing Shot hitting them won him the game there, which is good. And then the last game was against Dorinthia, another warrior. So we had 2 warrior matchups in this armory. I used Dreadbore in this match, as I know that she likes to run a lot of Steelblade shunts, which is fair enough. I won the dice roll and went first. I was told post-game that she drew into 2 defense reactions on the first turn, so she used a lot of her equipment to block out my initial attacks. Timidity Point going over the top with Rain Razors and Razor Reflex saved my bacon in this game, as she tried following up with Iron Song Determination, which is the one that gives your weapon attacks dominate, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Glistening Steelblade and a buff card that would have been deadly otherwise. Timidity Point getting a very clutch turn here, which is interesting, taking away the dominate from Dorinthia. Towards the end of the match, I hit her with a Demonistry Remorseless. That would be good. Dominated Remorseless. Yeah. Dominated Remorseless, which locked her down to 1 life, which as a result forced her to take a turn off that she wouldn't kill herself trying to attack with Dawnblade. So this is a bit of a mistake here, which we realised after the conversation, because you could still attack with a weapon because Remorseless only affects action cards.
Right.
So the opponent would have been able to attack with the Dawnblade without losing life off of the Remorseless trigger, because of the fact Remorseless only affects action cards. So it could have dictated the sort of the end result of the game, but I've missed that as well. To be fair, I've said all of your actions cost additional life. I've thrown that at my opponent sometimes, and they've sort of gone with it. So it's easy to miss. But they eventually closed out the game with a yellow Searing Shot that was coming in for 5 with Captain's Call, followed by Rain Razors to go over the top. Captain's Call is another nice card that I've thought of could be quite good, because it can either act as a buff or a go again enabler, which could be quite good. But again, it's a tough one to balance. So it's good to see that actually appearing in the deck.
For sure.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Nice little tail there. Thanks for sharing that.
I appreciate everybody sharing, by the way.
Yeah, so it's good to see Azalea getting love all over the place. And again here, 4-0 in Commoner with Azalea in Asia. So we had a little WhatsApp come through from someone in Discord, and they're now in the Discord now as well. It was one of their friends who'd won 4-0, and now they're in the Discord as well.
I love, by the way, the first response to the post of that is just WTF.
Yeah, exactly. Joso in this WhatsApp chat just says, "What is going on?" Congrats.
Love it, though. Congrats.
Yeah, exactly. So well done to Yakiong, I believe. Sorry if I pronounced your name incorrectly. But yeah, that's a fantastic result. And Azalea in commoner seems to be pretty good by the looks of it.
Doing good all around.
Doing some good stuff. And then finally, we've got a one more battle report to report with Azalea before we go into the questions that we received this week. So this is from DoggoDog Elliot, again in the Discord. So you can speak to all of these wonderful people that are sharing their experiences in the Discord if you want to go join it. This is a battle report. Went 1-1 with our glorious leader tonight. Praise be. I love how he's like praise be, using the praise be. Fantastic.
Love it.
During open play. Yeah, he's catching on during open play. So I guess that's just sitting down and just playing some games with some people, I guess. Open play. So game 1 was against Bravo Showstopper. That was a loss. So I decided on Dreadbore / Release Attention combo to prevent defense reaction shenanigans, which I think was pretty effective for most of the game. It definitely is against Guardian, 100%. Ended up at 1 life each, exactly. Yeah, so that was a close one. And then I bricked a turn with 4 buffs and no way to shoot an arrow. Took a Macho Grande to the face and I died. I wept a little bit.
Macho will do that.
Yeah. So I think this individual was running the deck similar to how I would. Just lots of buffs, lots of getting round defenses, only to lose by bricking in one turn where you can't do anything. And again, we've said it multiple times. We need some way to fix that potentially. Game 2 against Katsu was a win. Nice. It's more of an aggro deck, I imagine, so I guess it would sort of favour you a little bit. Sideboarded in 3 red Memorial Grounds to go with the permanent yellows in the deck and got 4 straight turns of red in the ledger. Lovely old job.
Oh, yeah, that's how to do it.
Oh, it is, yeah. I was able to control tempo and come through with a knock on the final push to finish things off with a solid 19 life advantage. Wow.
Ooh.
Wow.
That's impressive.
Yeah, that is good. And again, it's like we said, and DoggoDog Elliot as well saying here, it feels like a solid 50% win rate so far. She is either in control the whole game with the exact cards that are needed at the correct time, or absolutely shits the bed in clutch time. Needs some more reps, but not planning on taking any other decks to CC events for the near future. So yeah, and that got 5 thumbs up in the Azalea Cult chat because a lot of people agreed with what he said.
It hits the nail on the head. That's exactly how she is and how we're running. But kudos for staying on her and continue to run her.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's I think Azalea attracts a certain amount of people, doesn't it? Certain individuals that just want to sort of thrive through that pain and come out the other end with
a challenge. That's how we'll say it. They want a challenge.
They want a challenge. Yeah. Exactly. Cool. So that's all the tales. So I appreciate everyone who's shared those tales with us in the Discord or the Twitter or whatever you, and used the hashtags. And of course, as well, we've got an Azalea Cult mailbox as well, where people just chuck in comments and questions for us to answer on these episodes. So this is the last thing we'll be doing before we go into the designer arrow competition. So this is a really interesting one because this is from our mattress ideals. Again, they're the one that I chose for their bow last time. So thanks for getting engaged with all this content. It's fantastic. Bring up a valid point here because I absolutely hate the card he's referring to.
I was going to say, this is your nemesis right now, isn't it?
It really is. Yeah. I thought I'd found something great with Azalea and getting round people's defenses in a certain way. And I know obviously we haven't got a way to deal with equipment yet, so that's always an issue. But this card is just an issue all round at the moment because we can't do anything about it. Although I did find one answer to it. Which I'll go into in a moment. But yeah, this is in regards to Oasis Respite, is what they're asking, and cards that prevent damage. What do you guys think of Exude Confidence to try and combat that? If you come out with an arrow or 2 following the Exude without breaking the combat chain, then that would prevent instants and defense reactions from being played or activated. They still have the opportunity to defend with a card that has greater attack than Exudes, and obviously to make the effect null, but with the right hand you could pump the Exude up and make it difficult to do so. So yeah, they're addressing the issue that is Oasis Respite, which is the card that I'm on about here, and obviously what they're asking about as well. Cards that prevent damage is Azalea's worst nightmare, I think.
100%. Yeah, I like this idea. You're gonna have to pretty much build the whole deck around it because you're gonna have to go a little wide. You're gonna have the resources and everything to play out that Exude, possibly
right.
Pump it, and then shoot your arrow. So
yeah.
you would just have to maybe that's what's needed, but you're going to have to, tool the whole deck around that.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of interaction there in order to get your desired effect. Now, one of the cards that does combat Oasis Respite at the moment is Chains of Eminence. Is the only one that will allow us to get round this.
One of the OG cards there.
Yeah, and I think it has a very good effect. It's just it's just the cards that you take out to play it, to use it. And you've only got three.
Right.
You've only got 3 of them in your deck as well. So you need to make sure that when you play it, you know that they're holding on to an Oasis Respite, or you want to make sure that your attack goes through.
Yeah.
Whatever defense they're posing there, whether that's a Carrion Husk, because Chains of Eminence can be used on equipment cards. So you can get round Carrion Husks as well. Like if you're playing Leviar or what have you, shooting an arrow into a 6-block equipment is just a waste of a turn. So I think Chains of Eminence is a great way of being able to get round the defenses which you pose the most issue to you.
Yeah.
So I think Azalea needs more things like that. But maybe it was staring us in the face the whole time. Obviously, Chains of Eminence allows you to get around anything most of the time. You name a card and they can't use it to do anything. So maybe that is something that was staring us in the face as Azalea players the whole time. But who knows? I'm definitely going to use it because I'm going to come up against this bloody card, Oasis Respite, in the calling.
Yeah, you're going to have to give us a full report on how it goes.
Yeah. It's good as well because, the way I like to play the deck, obviously Dreadbore and Release Attention, you are getting round those horrible defense reactions and you are buffing it enough to go over the top of cards from hand and equipment. But yeah, if they play things like this, you need that Chains of Eminence to just make sure that your attack hits. Because if you name that card that you know is going to stop you, you're then unstoppable, basically. So
I'm really curious to see how it works for you because I think most folks just haven't run it because it takes up valuable slots for Azalea and it has you can't substitute arrow cards for it because then you're just upping your chances of the dead hand. So you're taking out some buffs or you're taking out some pumps, etc.
Yeah, it's a tough one to balance because obviously it doesn't do. There's no other synergy in the deck apart from. You look at the card as right. This is just a counter spell to whatever they've got that you want to try and get through. So yeah, I think it's a great piece, but it's going to clog up some stuff as well at the same time. So we'll see how it works. Matty the Rat is coming in with I think a sarcastic question. Why does Fatigue Shot round up and not down?
I mean, because at this point it's just driving a nail in the Azalea Cult.
Exactly.
I think it's just, actually, I think most things that are beneficial round down and are not round up or something like that. I forget. I think this was actually talked about with Brood at one point, like what rounds down and rounds up.
Oh, really? Yeah. Could be.
For some reason, I seem to remember that. Maybe Kel or Ian or one of our Brute Nation folks could bring that up.
# Brute Nation.
Yeah.
If you got experience of that, drop it a comment in the section below, what have you. But it's just, I don't know why that is.
You'd think they could have given us a little bone and round down, but
please just round it down. So that means if an attack hits for 1 and we need to fatigue shot it, we can make it 0. Great.
Yeah.
Loads of value.
That scenario alone.
Yeah. Fantastic. Next question is from Mustache Wu, saying how does Ranger work with Mentor? We haven't actually had a Mentor with Ranger yet. I think he asked this question on the Living Legends podcast, but I think we skimmed over it.
Okay.
I think he's asking us how Mentor would work with Ranger, or what we'd like to see with a Mentor with Ranger. And the answer,
I don't think it could be in the arsenal. It'd have to be a Mentor that is used some other way, huh?
That's true, actually, yeah, because you have to clog up your arsenal zone with it. Yeah, I didn't think about that, actually. Yeah, because you can only have it in the arsenal, can't you?
For the current Mentors, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. I guess
have to stay there and get counters and stuff. So that would be pretty detrimental for Azalea.
Yeah. Unless the Mentor had a static effect that said you can play arrow cards from hand while this Mentor is out, and then whenever you play an arrow from hand, it gets a counter and then goes and does something. Maybe.
Yeah, that's hard because even then you've just told them you have a mentor in your arsenal because you're playing arrows from hands. So it's tricky. I think they can do it. It'd have to be completely different from the other mentors.
Yeah, exactly. And he goes on to ask another question as well. And there's a few other questions from Mustache Woo, which we will use in future episodes when we speak about other things, but okay. We'll skip those ones there. But another one he says is another comment for the mailbox is, I think Ranger should have their own Phoenix Flame, a repeatable arrow that can return back to your hand from the graveyard by revealing your hand to your opponent that you have no arrows. So a bit of redundancy in the fact that if you have no arrows, you can have or bring back something from the grave that you can then play. So it's sort of,
and the cost is revealing your hand, I guess. So I'd be okay with that. I think it's I don't know, lore or not lore, but mechanic wise, it just seems a little clunky to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just another way of someone saying we need a way to just sort of
consistency. You can drill it down to that. We just need consistency. We got to get around having those hands that we can't shoot arrows.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah. Definitely a thing. And Zombie Taco is saying, I think a Shadow Azalea with Shadow arrows that banish or have blood debt that are loadable from banish would be a neat way to go about recurring attacks. So yeah, I mean, this is pure speculation as to what we'd like to see in talented rangers, and Mustache Woo goes on about a light ranger above as well, about having arrows being going into your soul when they hit and all that sort of thing. So a few people have sort of dropped in the mailbox about talented rangers. It would be fun. But Azalea is not talented right now, so it's hard to really go into that because she
in more ways than one. But yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's going to be interesting to see whether a talent is added to Azalea in the future.
I think she will. Well, I don't think it'll be added to Azalea, but we'll get a talent for Ranger. A Ranger will get a talent, I think, in the future. But I don't want them to use one of these old talents. Like, I would like to see like a mech talent or something. Like, didn't we at some point kind of theorize that mechanologist was a talent and not a hero type?
Yeah, anyway, yeah. It's been fun.
Regardless, if it would be a mech, so you have like a crossbow that has multiple shots or something, like an auto reloading crossbow or something. Like, that's how I would like to see a ranger do multiple arrows, instead of using light or shadow or some of the older. Don't repeat something old,
Yeah.
Get something new.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, again, just thanks for all the creativity as well in the mailbox. It's always good to see people's ideas and stuff, and that goes on to the design an arrow competition, because people are firing in all their sort of ideas on what arrows would be awesome to see in Azalea, and just wanting to get their hands on some Azalea Cult membership cards as well. So there's quite a few actually. There's actually a few different ones now. So I'll show these off now because I actually got them physically. So first of all, we've got these things. So we've got Supreme Leader cards. So obviously we got your artwork here for the Azalea map that's available on your website. And then we've got my one as well. So we've got two different styles of Supreme Leaders. You can actually use these as your tokens for your hero if you wanted to. You can just, because obviously heroes are tokens, so I guess as long as your opponent's okay, you can just say, can I use this as my token for my hero for today?
Right.
And they'll be like, yeah, all right, why not? If you want to rep your Supreme Leader.
Yep.
And also we got these cards now as well. So the Azalea Cult membership cards. So you've got Azalea Cult there, and obviously they'll have a written sort of note on the back from either me or Jim, depending on where your shipping location is. Will either be me or Jim's sort of signatures, or, well, whatever we decide to write on the back of these cards, which I think are quite cool.
So welcome to the cult message, basically.
Yeah, basically, welcome to the cult message. And I've already wrote out some as well for Hank and Wifey for their continued support of the Azalea Cult, so they're both getting one each. So I've done that already, and Lynette as well actually bought one of my Azalea Cult playmats recently.
She needs to be on the podcast at some point. So
exactly,
we gotta have her talking about her cosplay and just all things Azalea, really.
Yeah, absolutely. She's done it for the longest time, hasn't she? So we'll definitely get you on at some point, and we'll make the time zones work. So there'll be 3 separate ones in one episode.
We'll be all the way around the world in that episode.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Yeah. So membership cards up for grabs. If you do win one, you can choose which one you get, or some sort of iteration of that. I think you'll get a membership card and then your choice of a supreme leader, basically. Cool. So the first one is a massively long one. So this is called Fire the Death Whistle. So this is a 0 cost card, Azalea specialization, attacks for 2 and blocks for 3. And it says equipment, defending cards, and defense reactions have -1 defense. This chain link, so it just sort of debuffs everything, which I think is a nice little design space. Debuffing things. Sure. It's got go again, and it's got a new mechanic called volley on it as well. So yeah. So it says at the beginning of your end phase, if Fire the Death Whistle is in your hand and you have an empty arsenal zone, you may pay 3 resources and put it face up into your arsenal. And if you do, until the end of your next turn, Fire the Death Whistle gains. When Fire the Death Whistle chain link resolves, put it into an empty arsenal zone you control. You may play it this combat chain an additional 2 times this turn, and when you do, it loses this ability. So I guess it just allows you to continuously fire it off.
Right. Volley. Yeah, I get it. So you just like quickly in succession, firing arrows.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously,
I kind of like the spirit of it.
Yeah, and the fact that it debuffs things as well on the top of the text there is also quite interesting. So it makes all of your blocks harder if you are continuously firing this at them. Right. So that's quite cool. So yeah, that's the first one. I don't actually have any of the people's names on this document, but they are all in the Discord, so we will find out what they are in a moment. So that's the first one. Next one is Quick Shot. So this costs nothing to play, blocks for 3, attacks for 3. It's go again attack as well.
A natural go again.
Natural go again. And if this arrow is in your arsenal during your opponent's turn, you may pay 1. If you do, you may play this arrow as though it were an instant, and it gains when you attack of this, deal 3 damage to target opposing hero. So it becomes a 6 then if you play it on your opponent's turn by paying the 1, which is quite interesting.
Actually, yeah, I dig that, the thought of that. It may be a little too strong, but I really like this playing a card on your opponent. I mean, it's basically an Icelander type card.
Yeah, and I like it.
Yeah,
exactly, and I like it as well because if you think of your opponent running towards you in an arena, running in for an attack, you should be able to fire them with an arrow before they come in. Because you're at distance, you're at long range, you're a ranger. You should be able to hit them before they hit you most of the time. So I think it's a design space that could be looked at more for like the long range sort of stuff.
I like it.
Yeah. So next we have Umbral Bolt. So this was a sort of designed card for a Shadow Ranger. So very interesting here. We've got the bolt and the quiver. So again, thanks again to everyone who's making these cards and spending the time to do the art and stuff, because
that's fantastic.
Because some of these cards I've mocked up on behalf of individuals, but this one was designed with all the art in mind, so I didn't have to do it. So fair play. So this is a 0 cost attack, blocks for 3, obviously attacks for 4. If you have no cards in your arsenal, bows you control may put Umbral Alt from your banished zone into your arsenal. Interesting. And if it was added from your arsenal from the banished zone, it gets +1. But it's a blood debt card, so if it's in your banished zone, you lose a life at the end of your turn. So yeah, I think that's pretty good.
So that's assuming Shadow Ranger. Yeah, it says Shadow Ranger. So there you go.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a nice little bit of flavour. Allows you to put Umbral Bolt into the banished zone. All your bows will then have that ability. Give it the +1 and go again. So as well. So the Umbral Bolt gets go again as well. So that's nice. And obviously, in tandem with that, we've got the Blight-Stained Quiver as well. So this is an offhand equipment. So this doesn't take up an equipment slot. It's just...
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that's maybe
and
that's...
you have to control a bow. Okay.
Yeah, so one-handed bow, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
or
it's an
crossbow or something.
Well, I guess if this is an offhand, you wouldn't need to actually wield it, so you could still use a two-handed weapon, because it's offhand, maybe? I don't know. But yeah, so it says you may equip Blight-Stained Quiver as long as you control a bow. Once per turn action, pay a resource and choose one. You can opt one, then place the top card of your deck into your banished zone face up, or choose up to one shadow attack action card from a graveyard and place it into your banished zone face up and go again. So yeah, that's quite cool.
Yep.
Playing around with Shadow Ranger, love it.
Yeah.
Next is Corrupted Battle Plan Arrow. So this is a 2-cost arrow. So we haven't had any of these yet. Blocks for 3, attacks for 4. The player defending this attack reveals their hand. Attacking player chooses how the attack is defended. That's very unique.
Yeah.
And then defending player can choose to defend with equipment or card from arsenal. This attack cannot gain go again. So obviously they can still use their equipment to block, but their hand is manipulated by you as to how they choose to block it, which I think is quite interesting.
No, I kind of like that. It's a unique idea.
Yeah, it's an interesting interaction because I think as a ranger you should be able to get this information, like given to you a lot of the time, and you should be ahead of them in a sense of you're prepared and they're not, sort of thing. So sure. Yeah, I do like that sort of flavor.
Kind of like a surprise attack mechanic, almost like you're getting an upper hand because you surprised them.
Yeah, and obviously you're revealing their hand. That's information for you to use, etc. Albeit with the way Flesh and Blood is at the moment, you've only got 4 cards revealed. If it was like Magic where you have 7 cards revealed, you've got a lot more information and a lot more build up to really go with. But yeah, 4 cards don't last long in a game of Flesh and Blood, so revealing the hand is not as powerful as I think it would be in other games potentially. Next one is Viper Bite, another 2-cost arrow. So blocks for 3, attacks for 5, and if you've played another arrow attack this turn, this attack gains if this attack hits opposing hero discards a card. So yeah, go wide
it's a
stuff.
little costly, I think, and it's go wide, so that'd be, I think, kind of hard with the current set of arrows and play styles. But I like the idea still.
Yeah, definitely. I love discard effects as well. Next we have Reanimating Shot, so it's a 0-cost attack, attacks for 4 and blocks for 3. At the beginning of your turn, if this is in your graveyard, you may put it on top of your deck.
Oh, okay. I kind of like that. That's dominate. I mean, that actually answers some of the situations where you draw no arrows. So like if you have a hand with no arrows, you can basically choose to activate that and put it on top of your deck. Now you got a dominated arrow. I kind of like it. Yeah,
it's pretty good. Especially if you're running a lot of reload effects as well. You can still, if you have a no arrow hand, you can still play a card like Take Aim, reload one of your cards into your arsenal.
In the arsenal, yeah.
And then dominate it and still have a valid arrow attack. So again, that does solve a lot of the issues.
Yeah, no, good point. You need something in the arsenal, so you got to get something there, but that's half the battle. So you've solved half of it with this.
Yeah, exactly. And if you've got 3 of these as well, you could just put them all on top of your deck, every single one of them, and then just keep going through. So yeah, maybe that's a way of solving that sort of issue. Next one is Net Shot. This one is 1 cost, blocks for 3, attacks for 5, and it says if it hits, target opponent can't play attack action cards or attack with a weapon in the next turn. And this is I remember this is from Pascal actually. I remember him sending me the flavor text saying get over here. I mean get down there, which is it's from Scorpion, isn't it? In Mortal Kombat. Get over here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think those sort of on hits are things I'd love to see going forward. If it hits, target opponent can't play attack action cards or attack with a weapon. Unlucky. You're taking a turn off aggro. Screw you.
Yeah, no, and that's right on the theme with on hits and Azalea. So
yeah, exactly. Forcing blocks is what we want to be doing. Because if they can't attack us and they're an aggro player, even if they're a not aggro player, they can't attack us on the next turn. So they have to block it if they want to swing back. So it's forcing interaction, which I think is what this game needs more of, is forcing interaction, rather than just cowabunga. I'm playing 4 cards on my turn.
Way to bring the Ninja Turtles into it, man.
Yeah, exactly. Arm Piercing Shot is the next one. So this is 1 cost, arrow attack, blocks for 3, attacks for 5. Equipment cannot be used to block this attack. I've said this before. This is what I'd love to see.
This is a strong card.
Yeah, absolutely. When this attack hits a hero, put a -1 counter on equipment they control, and if it has 0, destroy it. So, yeah.
That might be a little too strong, but I love the thought. Like, I love where it's going.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. Anything that adds to the repertoire of being able to get through defenses, I think is a good space for Ranger, because they do want to hit things. They're marks women, marks ladies, marks men. wanting to get through the gaps in the armor, which I've said before. I think it's a space that we can explore in the future. And yeah, just destroying equipment, which is nice.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Next we have Flashbang. This is an interesting concept. So 2-cost arrow, blocks for 2, attacks for 4, but then it just says the next attack targeting hero cannot hit and no card effects can resolve. And it just says you can't hit what you can't see. Yeah. Again, another. Well, this doesn't even need to hit. This is going to happen. You can't hit me on your next turn if I flashbang you.
Next attack target. Yeah.
So all you have to do is play this. Obviously, in Azalea decks, you probably got a lot of red heavy stuff, so you do have to pitch 2 cards to attack. But it just means that you can't get hit.
Is pretty expensive, but if you had an effect like that, it's probably worth spending the extra resources for.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I think they've balanced it out to a certain degree with it blocking for 2 and being a 4 attack for 2. I think the on hit, well, the actual effect of the card is balanced to a certain degree at least. Next one we got is Living Arrows. This is based on Yondu's arrow from the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Oh yeah. Little Guardians.
Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy. That's it. So this is a 1-cost arrow, blocks for 2 and attacks for 5. It says Living Arrow deals 5 damage to target hero and up to 5 damage to any additional target, and this does not cause the combat chain to close if destroying Spectres. Living Arrow cannot gain additional damage from other sources, so you can't buff this. But it does deal an additional 5 damage to any additional target, so you can blow up someone's spectras and auras and stuff with this, I think.
I mean, I just had a complete visual of the Yondu effect of somebody whistling while they're playing this card and it zipping around the board, just annihilating everything on the chain.
Yeah.
Actually, can you imagine what this would do in Pit Fight too? Now you're hitting all the other heroes for 5 damage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, that'd be brilliant.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think he designed it with the UPF in mind as well, which is good because I spend a lot of time on those videos.
Sure.
So yeah, nice. And if it hits as well, if Living Arrow hits at least 1 target, return it to hand. Go again, of course. And it says hitting 1 target at a time is easy. Come back when you can hit 4 / Azalea. So that's cool.
That's right along with her personality, so I like it.
Exactly. Cocky. Next we have Arcane Dampening Tip. This is an interesting design space. Costs 1, blocks for 3, attacks for 5. When Arcane Dampening Tip hits a hero, the next time arcane damage is dealt, prevent that much arcane damage equal to the amount of damage received or dealt by Arcane Damage Dampening Tip.
Dampening Tip. Oh, okay.
And flavor text. Just a tip I picked up in Metrix or Meatrix from Azalea. So a way of sort of null ruining things to a certain degree.
Yeah, like a temporary null rune, I guess, or a 1-use null rune.
Yeah. That reminds me of a weapon from Final Fantasy called Mage Masher, which is basically it's a weapon that deals extra damage to mages. This is basically similar to a certain degree, where it's a tech against mage type arcane damage magic
can do
wielders.
arcane. Yeah.
So I like that. Love the art on the next one, Kneecap Shot.
Brilliant.
Fantastic. 1 cost, blocks for 3, attacks for 5. If Kneecap Shot hits a hero, that hero's weapon attacks cost an additional 1 next turn. So yeah, it's not just another little sort of hamstring type effect.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're just gonna every season come up with a different body part to hit and handicap in some way.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing about this as well, it says that hero's weapon attacks cost additional 1 next turn, so all of their weapon attacks will cost 1 extra. So it will screw out.
So it's even stronger than Hamstring.
Yeah, it's only weapon attacks, but still, if they want to swing Dawnblade, it's going to cost 3 each time. Yep. If they want to swing Kasai, you're turning off her hero ability basically because it's going to cost additional 1 anyway. So yeah, pretty cool. I like these effects that last the entire turn. Like if it hit.
Did you read the flavor text? Because that's pretty good.
Oh yeah, of course. I used to be an adventurer like you, but then I took an arrow to the knee. Says Town Guard. Just a Town Guard who's just sat there on his chair, guarding the gate. Because once upon a time he took an arrow to the knee, and now he can't do anything. Fantastic flavor, world building. Brilliant. Late Shot is the next one. So 1 cost arrow attack, blocks for 3, attacks for 5. The player targeted by Late Shot can decide to be hit by Late Shot for the damage, or they may reduce the damage of an attack they control on the combat chain by the damage value of Late Shot. So
wait, no, that just confused me. I got to read that one again. Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, so they can either choose to be hit by it, or have one of their attacks reduced by 5, is what I'm reading this as.
Right.
So I guess this would only... Obviously, of course, as well, this is a Ranger instant arrow attack. So if you look at that as well, it says Ranger instant arrow attack. So you'll be able to play this at any time on your on your opponent's turn from Arsenal, is what they're getting at, I believe. So again, it's interesting to see that people want to fire arrows on your opponent's turn. That's a theme that we've seen twice on this episode, is people's designs wanting to fire on your opponent's turn, which is thematic, because if the opponent is charging towards you in one-on-one combat, you might, or you should, be able to get a late shot off like this. You'll be able to fire something at them before they reach you or before they hit you. So maybe that is a design space that we look at.
I think it is. I like it.
Yeah. And it's thematic as well because, again, we are long-range fighters. We're not in close combat, really.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we have Splintering Bolt. This was from Lynette, I remember. So this is a 2-cost arrow attack, blocks for 3 and attacks for 2. But when you attack with Splintering Bolt, it deals 2 damage to up to 2 targets, and if an ally is not killed this way, it does get a -2 health counter. So just a little something to slow you down. As the flavor text. So yeah, a way of maybe dealing with Dramai and all of her dragons.
Yeah, I can see that.
And then maybe weakening the big dragons, which you can't really...
Yeah, I was going to say it's a way to get past the regeneration at the end of turn, so that's kind of cool. What we haven't seen before.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, -2 counters, permanent effects, things that stay out on board, which could affect your opponent. I think is another way that the Ranger should be able to force on hit and ongoing effects through. And I did design an arrow which is not on this document, which I will read to you, and you can tell me whether it's too overpowered or not. Whether you're watching this now in the future, whether you want to leave a comment, or Jim, whether you want to comment on this as well, because it's I thought it was quite cool. So I made one called Laceration Shot. I will make a graphic for this as well, as I haven't done it yet on this document. So it's a 1-cost arrow, majestic. It has 5 attack and 3 defense, so similar to Red in the Ledger statistics. And it says, if Laceration Shot hits a hero, create a laceration token under their control. So I think stuff like this could be good, because it creates something that stays on their board if they get hit by it, which then affects all of their future turns. So Laceration Shot, I said, could be one of the following things. Whenever you play an action card, choose one, or this could be something similar to this. So whenever you play an action card, you either lose 5 life, discard a card, or put the top 7 cards of your deck into your graveyard. So it's a token that stays out, but then every time you do something, as a result of not blocking that stupid arrow Laceration Shot last turn, you're then having to deal with something else for the entirety of the game because you didn't block it. So it's like a long-lasting effect that then forces interaction and forces blocks, because you don't want to be getting hit.
The modes, is that something you're saying the Azalea is choosing, or the opponent has to choose how it affects them?
Yeah, so obviously
they control it.
Yeah, so they control the laceration token. So whenever they play an action card, they choose one of those effects. So
Gotcha.
they either lose a load of life from playing an action.
It's almost like a bleed effect to the laceration or something that's going to just keep affecting them.
Yeah, and obviously
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and they pick their poison as well. They can either discard a card whenever they play something or lose life. But yeah, those things will mount up over time, and it then gives the opponent something to think about. Is like, right, this laceration shot, if I do not block this, it's going to be wrecking havoc on me for the rest of the game. And rightly so. If you're shot in the leg and your leg is lacerated, it's going to affect you for the entire battle, or it should do. That's the theme that I think should be getting through.
No, I like it. I think I kind of like, though, once they're lacerated, they're bleeding. So like the token or something, could just go along the theme of bleeding or bleed or something. And the effects of bleeding are this.
Yeah.
Like, I think you could really play in that theme space with that.
Yeah, exactly. And you could have something along the lines of, if you ever gain life, remove laceration token or something like that. Similar to how I got this idea from the person who won the last contest with a bow with a poison token, where they said something about if you drink a potion, remove the poison from your body. If you gain life, remove the laceration token. It then gives decks the ability to get round this if they want to meta against it for whatever reason. If it is too powerful, they can still gain life from Oasis Respite and other sigils and a load of those healing balms that appeared in Everfest as well. So those sort of things could find play as well. But yeah, that was my sort of idea. I think having long-lasting effects on hits might be a good place to go. And bleeding and cutting people's legs and stuff is very sort of Ranger and Merc and what Azalea would want to do.
Or Assassin, or along those lines for sure.
Yeah. So if we ever get something like that, you heard it here first.
I think we may be pulling on some D&D or other fantasy tropes, but yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, definitely. Exactly. Splintering Bolt was the last one. That was from Lynette. And obviously we're going to pick 2 winners this time to receive Azalea Cult cards. Obviously these will be the membership cards, and obviously one of either Jim's art or the anime art, whatever one you choose to have as well. I think 2 people have chosen your one so far, Jim, which is nice.
She's in the tavern with the beer.
That's what it is.
Turn that one down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we're going to choose 2 winners of this Design an Arrow competition. So who wants to go first, do you think?
I can go.
Yeah, you got yours. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me scroll. I think I actually think I would give my winner to Quick Shot.
Yep.
I just like, as we talked about, the theme of being able to shoot an arrow on the opponent's turn.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I kind of like about it is if you aren't able to set that up, like put it in the arsenal to be able to do that, it has go again. So then it also is still useful out of your hand because it'll have the go again. Because obviously it won't get the go again played on your opponent's turn.
Yeah.
But it's got other benefits if you do that. So I think it's got a good idea. So I don't know if it would quite make it into retail, but I like the idea.
Yeah, so the idea is very good, and again, we've touched on it multiple times. Like, if you could fire something off on your opponent's turn, that's very thematic for the Ranger because they long distance fighters.
Yep.
So yeah, definitely. So that's cool. Definitely agree with that pick. My pick is sort of similar to what I was saying about Laceration Shot and forced blocks and stuff, and that's Net Shot is my favourite.
Oh, there you go.
So I love these effects where it just says, right, if you allow this to hit you, you're not doing anything on your next turn. Forcing blocks, forcing interactions, I think is
right on theme with Azalea.
Right on theme, yeah. And a net shot just seems like something that she would do, like firing a net around someone before she tortured them with various utensils, like in the Red and the Ledger art.
Oh yeah, pulling their hair, putting a knife to them. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Just yeah. So yeah, my pick goes to Net Shot. So
I have to say, I really enjoyed all of the submissions. So
yeah,
I really appreciate everybody participating because all of them had some really unique ideas in one way or another.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, people that have designed these as well. We may even see, similar cards like this crop up in the future. So, if one of your
we'll have to pay attention to that and pull them back up. If we get our newest cards, we'll have to go back through these and see if anybody was kind of close to what they release.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So it's just a good way of, it's a good way of thinking. Oh, LSS copied my idea. Well, they've had these cards on the back burner for so long that wouldn't be the case. It wouldn't be the case. But it's just funny, isn't it, to sort of speculate and see, if any of these actual design ideas come to fruition. So yeah. So thank you everyone for submitting your designs, and well done to the winners this time round. It's always fun seeing those designs drop into the competition entries in Discord. But that's pretty much it. Again, yeah. So if you're not in the Discord already, links in the description box below. That's where you can submit the aforementioned competition entries into there if you want to get involved and win these cards. So obviously the winners have won a membership card, which we will sign wherever you're being shipped to. Again, I need to send you some of these as well, Jim, so you can send to American people.
Yeah, sure.
And then obviously you'll get one of those membership cards, and then you get to choose whether you want one of these Supreme Leader cards, which can be used as a token for your hero. They've got little Azalea Cult graphics on the back as well. So yeah, you'll obviously get a message or DM from me in the Discord asking which ones you want for those. But yeah, thanks again for joining us in the dingy pits for the Azalea Cult, and make sure you tune in next time for all the scoops on the next one, whatever that is. I don't know what that's going to be yet. With regards to the next episode, I think maybe we can see what Lynette's doing, and maybe go into the cosplayer and the armor pieces that you can get, and how she makes those, and how you use those with the class and all that sort of thing. I don't think she's ever designed a skullbone Crossrap. I'd love to see if she could do one of those. Just imagine trying to build that thing.
Oh my, yeah, it could be a pretty epic headpiece.
It would be, yeah, it would be. So yeah, maybe join us next time. I'm not sure what it's going to be yet, but yeah, hopefully we can do that. But there's going to be another competition, of course, as well. So stay tuned for all of that. But before we go, if we want to shout out where people can find us individually, I'll throw this over to you, because obviously this is on my channel, so I'll throw it over to you first.
Yeah, everybody can find me basically at FabTCG Cards is pretty much every social media platform that I'm on. And then, of course, the website, fabtcgcards.com. So be sure to, if you're a Patreon actually of Az here, or of Mr. Armada or Red Zone Rogue, they get a monthly coupon off the site. So
nice.
But anyway, that's where you get me.
Awesome. Great. And obviously you're watching this on the Go Again Gaming YouTube channel, and my name's Az from Go Again Gaming. Of course, you can find me on the socials, Go Again Gaming AZ, where I post all sorts of manner of stream of consciousness on there, as well as weird designs and like arts and stuff that I come up with for people and stuff, like memes and weird stuff. Go and follow me on there. I've got Instagram as well, Go Again Gaming UK. My web store is now open as well, so you can go and check that out. All the links will be in the description box below, where you can get Azalea Cult stuff on there as well. And if you do also get stuff off the Azalea Cult web store as well, you'll be automatically sent a membership card, basically. So that's all a nice little incentive, because it's signed, depending on where it goes, will be signed by either one of us. So yeah, it's gonna be good. Make sure you check out that stuff. But that's pretty much it, really. I don't know what the next episode is going to be. I did have an idea of what it was going to be, but we'll figure that out next time. We'll keep you on your toes a bit.
Absolutely.
But praise be our glorious leader, and have a lovely day wherever you might be out there watching this.
Praise be everybody, and thanks for joining the cult.
Thank you very much. Just a quick interjection. If you're watching this, you will see that my hair is styled differently. I've got a mustache in this video. The story behind that is I was meant to be doing a podcast with Pitch Perfect. I still am doing it, so I've styled my mullet and, you know, cut myself a mustache just to appear edgy on their podcast when I'm actually just an idiot. But hey ho, I digress. I just wanted to make an announcement on this video or podcast. You might be listening to this on the audio podcast form now, or watching my face on the Azalea Cult video series on YouTube on Go Again Gaming. However, I just wanted to make an announcement. If you haven't watched it already, or haven't seen it already, or listened to it already, this week's Living Legend podcast came out, and we had Chris Bewley on the show. He is the content or community manager, or a mixture of both, for Legend Story Studios, and he came on to speak about content creation, the do's, the don'ts, advice on how to start, what you should and should not be doing, and all that sort of thing. And it was fantastic. Any aspiring creators listening to this, go and listen to that or watch that video. It was very, very insightful. But something happened on that podcast, something we didn't expect whatsoever, and I had no idea this was coming. I wasn't expecting anything of the sort, but it was confirmed nonetheless. And it makes me perhaps the first content creator to be confirmed as getting a preview card for Dynasty. So yeah, I'm absolutely over the moon with that. And Chris in the interview himself said it's for the Azalea Cult, a sort of subcategory, and perhaps one of the most important categories of Go Again Gaming these days is the Azalea Cult. And he said the Azalea Cult is going to be getting a card. So that sounds to me that Azalea is going to be getting some spicy support in this set. Whether that comes as something that Azalea can use only, or whether it's just a generically good but thematic Ranger card for Azalea, that is all to be seen. But I cannot wait for this to be presented to me. I cannot wait to see what the card does. I cannot wait to make a video for you and every other person listening to this right now or watching this now. It is a very, very exciting time for me and the channel and Go Again Gaming and the Azalea Cult. I'm so happy that we started the series because, you know, she is such an awesome character and we cannot wait to potentially break her in the future. We will see. But I just thought I'd interject that into this podcast or video now just to share the good news. If you haven't listened to the Living Legends podcast, go back and listen to it. It's very, very insightful with regards to content creation, and also I'm going to be speaking about this particular event on the Pitch Perfect podcast as well with Elaine, Melody and Flake, so look out for that.